Hey up internet and welcome back to On the Sofa Live Extra. If you're new, do subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay in the loop. I think I'll do that intro again actually. Hey up internet and welcome to On the Sofa Live Extra. If you're new, do subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay in the loop. Okay. So, welcome to On the Sofa Live Extra. In this live stream, I'm going to be talking about all the news items that I didn't get the time to talk about in previous live streams. That's the idea of it anyway. And this is the first on the Sofa Live Extra. And depending on how this one goes, I'm thinking about doing this on a semi-regular basis, maybe once a fortnight or maybe even once a week. I haven't decided yet. You know, like I said, it depends on how this one goes. So let's see. Excuse me. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into it. Let's get into the first story that I want to talk about. Excuse me. Let's share the screen share. That would help. Right. Oh, yes. Let's get all the unfortunate noises out of the way first, shall we? Right. This first story is from the Daily Britain. Starmer's niece selected for safe Croydon seat as two black women councillors are deselected, by Jordan Scott. This is from the 1st of May. This is really corrupt. This story really burns my arse. Two long-serving black women councillors have been blocked from standing for Labour in one of its safest wards in Croydon, while Keir Starmer's niece, a woman in her mid-20s who interned for a Labour government minister last year, has been selected to stand in their place ahead of next Thursday's local elections. The revelations, first reported by Inside Croydon, have prompted significant concern among Labour members in the Bensham Manor ward, who described the process as a parachute selection that bypassed democratic norms and removed two experienced local representatives to make way for a candidate with connections to the highest levels of the Labour Party. And this has been the MO, the modus operandi of Keir Starmer's Labour. This is the sort of thing that continues to happen. They continue to deselect talented. They continue to. I will get the words out. They continue to deselect talented people because they're on the wrong. They continue to deselect talented people just because they're on the left, because they're too far left. They're too close to Jeremy Corbyn. And they select people from their side of the party. Sorry, I will. I will get the words out. Sorry, I don't know why I'm struggling with this. But anyway, let's start that paragraph again. And this. They have consistently deselected talented people just because they're too far left, in their opinion, just because they're too close to Corbyn. And they're not part of their what? Oh, it doesn't matter. Come on, Mike. They consistently deselect talented people in favor of people from their side of the party just because they're too left as far as they're concerned. They're too close to Corbyn, so that they can select people from their side of the party who agree with Starmer, who agree with Peter Mandelson, who agree with Morgan McSweeney and Labour together. You know, that's what they've been doing all this time. It's blatant corruption. It's blatant corruption, blatant favoritism. Who Ellie Sandover is. Ellie Sandover is a candidate in Bensham Manor Ward, the second safest Labour ward in the Croydon Borough. She is the daughter of Katie Swarby, one of Keir Starmer's 3 siblings, and the twin of Nick Starmer, who died aged 60 in December 2024. Swarby is a qualified nurse working in the care sector. She is the same sister to whom Starmer referred publicly at the Prime Minister's questions in 2021 when he told Boris Johnson, "My sister is a poorly paid care worker." Sandover is in her mid-20s, a former pupil at the Brett School in Croydon and a graduate of the Central School of Speech and Drama. She completed a master's degree in law while simultaneously working as a youth engagement lead at Croydon's Legacy Youth Zone and as a parliamentary intern for Sarah Jones, the Labour MP for Croydon West and a junior minister in Starmer's government. In May and June of last year, She was selected in August 2025, among the first of Labour's 70 Croydon Council candidates to be announced. Her selection was managed by Labour's London region rather than by local party members. In other words, she was parachuted in to that position. Who was replaced and how? Two sitting councillors in Bensham Manor, Eunice O'Dame and Enid Molyneux, were both blocked by the Labour Party's National Executive Committee from standing again as candidates in 2026. Both women are black. Molyneux has served as Labour's shadow cabinet member for community safety for most of the past 4 years, a senior role in Croydon Labour group selected for her Labour leader Stuart King. Despite this, nameless and unaccountable NEC officials deemed her unsuitable to stand as a candidate. O'Dame had, as recently as last year, been considered suitable enough by the Labour Party to stand as a parliamentary candidate in the 2024 general election, albeit in the unwinnable seat of Kingston and Surbiton. In 2026, the same party decided she was not acceptable as a council candidate in a ward she already represented. In total, 4 black women were among 6 sitting Croydon Labour councillors blocked by the NEC from standing in 2026, a pattern that Labour members in the borough have described as deeply troubling. It is deeply troubling. They're right. It is very troubling. It's all very suspect to me. And I can't help but think that there's an element of racism happening here. It's all very suspicious. It's all very... It's very suspicious and it stinks. It stinks of corruption. The selection process and what members say. Labour's standard rules require those seeking selection as candidates to have been members for at least 6 months before the selection meeting. Sandover was elected in August 2025, meaning she would need to have joined the party no later than February 2025 to meet that requirement. Croydon Labour members say no proper selection meeting took place in Bensham Manor. Bensham Manor members disappointed no selection happened, one member said. Her candidacy was, in the words of Inside Croydon, hand-picked and imposed through the regional party machinery rather than through local democratic process. And that, that stinks. That really does stink. That is corrupt. All to get someone related to Keir Starmer parachuted into a position that really stinks. Members in the ward say Sandover's relationship to the Prime Minister was known to Croydon MPs Sarah Jones and Natasha Irons, despite a Croydon Labour official telling Inside Croydon, "That's news to me," when asked about it, while carefully avoiding an outright denial. Concerns have also been raised about Sandover's visibility during the campaign period. Her last canvassing post on social media was dated 9th of April, more than 3 weeks before polling day. Members have described her as not very visible in campaign or community, saying they were missing Enid Molyneux. One member said, "Elle is a very new member to the party." Another described her as having been parachuted into a safe Labour seat. Where Sandover lives has not been confirmed, with reports that she has not disclosed her home address to local members, and that's sus in itself. What has she got to hide? Honestly, this whole thing stinks. It really does. It really stinks. The broader context. The Croydon selection controversy sits within a Labour Party that has spent months asking the public to trust its judgment on questions of Start that again. The broader context. The Croydon selection controversy sits within a Labour Party that has spent months asking the public to trust its judgment on questions of propriety, transparency, and fairness, even as the Mandelson vetting scandal has dominated the headlines and the Prime Minister faces a formal parliamentary standards investigation. It also comes in a Croydon that has its own troubled selection history. 4 people are currently facing charges of cybercrime offences over the 2023 Croydon East parliamentary selection, a case that exposed the lengths to which internal Labour Party power struggles can go. Isn't it good to have the grown-ups back in the room? Yeah, isn't it great? It's nice, isn't it, the quiet? Unbelievable. The optics of the Bensham Manor situation are uncomfortable for a party whose Prime Minister has publicly spoken about his sister as a symbol of the underpaid, undervalued workers that Labour is supposed to represent. The ward where the same Prime Minister's niece has now been installed as a candidate, displacing 2 black women who were deemed unacceptable by anonymous NEC officials, is Labour's second safest seat in the borough. Labour was approached for comment, but had not responded at the time of publication. The Labour Party, under Keir Starmer, Peter Mandelson, and until just recently, Morgan McSweeney, is corrupt. It's become a corrupt party. In my opinion, they've become just as corrupt as the Tories ever were. Can you imagine if the Tories had done this? Can you imagine if the Tories had done this? Starmer's cheerleaders wouldn't stop going on about it. You'd never hear the end of it. But because Red Team Good, because it's their golden boy Starmer, silence, complete silence on social media about this from Starmer's cheerleaders anyway. Because they won't hear a bad thing against their glorious leader. They won't hear a bad thing said against their chosen team. Because it's the good team, because it's the red team, because it's Labour doing this, and Labour can do no wrong, and Starmer can do no wrong as far as they're concerned. You don't hear anything about it. But I think this is corruption. This is a clear case of corruption. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Okay. We got there in the end. After a few false starts, we got there. Hello to Robert X. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining me, I should say. Joining us. Robert X, hello. Welcome. Anyway, onward with the next story. Yeah, talking of Keir Starmer, this story is from The Guardian. Keir Starmer demands swift, agile and visible response to London attack. Absolutely clear people are being targeted for being Jewish, says Prime Minister, as he holds meeting with agencies and ministers. Keir Starmer has said the government and criminal justice system must respond to the suspected terrorist attack in northwest London in a swift, agile and visible way, as he convened a meeting in Downing Street. The Prime Minister said on Thursday an attack on our Jewish community is an attack on all of us, as he called the fight against anti-Semitism our fight as well, after the stabbings in Golders Green. He said it is vital to understand the visceral feeling among many British Jews, and we have to be really clear that an attack on our Jewish community is an attack on all of us, and we have to approach it in that way. And that is true. That is true. We have to call out anti-Semitism whenever it occurs. Whoever says it, whoever does it, whoever is responsible for anti-Semitism, even if it's someone that we respect, even if it's someone that is a member of the party that we vote for. And I will call out anti-Semitism whenever I see it, even if I see it from a member of the Green Party, the party that I'm a part of. I will always call out anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism is an evil. It is a form of racism, and it shouldn't be tolerated. And certainly, these vicious attacks on 2 Jews in Golders Green should be called out for the evil that it is. It really should. It should not have happened. And the person responsible should get the book thrown at them, and they should be punished to the full extent of the law. It is right to call out anti-Semitic attacks and anti-Semitism. The article goes on. There's no getting away from the fact that this... Sorry, I start that again. Something flashed on my screen and it distracted me. Let's start again. The article goes on. There's no getting away from the fact that this was not a one-off, he said. There has been a series of attacks on our Jewish community, particularly in recent weeks, and there is a very deep sense of anxiety, of concern about security, about safety, about identity, frankly. Starmer said solidarity with the Jewish community was often voiced after such attacks, but added, "We do stand with our Jewish community, of course we do, but it's our fight as well. It's the fight of everyone in this country." Shabana Mahmood earlier promised to do everything in my power to keep British Jews safe, as police said the suspect in the stabbing of two men on Wednesday was a 45-year-old British national born in Somalia. Wait a minute, two men? I'm pretty sure he stabbed three men. And the first person he stabbed was actually a Muslim. But there's no mention of that in this article, at least not so far, but let's see. The government said a further £25 million would be invested to increase security for Jewish communities after the suspected terrorist attack. The funding will be aimed at boosting police patrols and protection around synagogues, schools, and community centres. But the government is facing pressure to go further, including calls to ban pro-Palestinian marches. Yeah, there's calls to ban pro-Palestinian marches, even though many Jews attend these marches, hundreds of Jews even, thousands, and they don't feel threatened when they attend these marches. And in fact, many Jews have spoken out against the genocide in Gaza. They don't agree with what Israel is doing. They don't agree with the actions of the IDF, and they call them out. And they certainly don't feel threatened or endangered by these pro-Palestinian marches. But these Jews who attend these pro-Palestinian marches, who speak out against the genocide in Gaza, don't get spoken about because it's inconvenient. It's inconvenient for the narrative that the government and the mainstream media is trying to weave here. Legislation creating prescription-like powers to pursue people and organizations acting on behalf of malign state-sponsored groups would also be fast-tracked in the coming weeks, ministers said. It is understood that the draft laws will be included in the King's speech, setting out the government's legislative agenda for the next parliamentary session on the 13th of May. And that's all I'm going to read of this article, because it's quite a long article. So I think I've read enough from this article anyway. But there is something else I want to share with you about on this story. If I can find it, I will. Yeah, I found it. Bear with me, bear with me. Yeah, here we go. This is the one. Oh. Robert X says, I read sofa and felt lazy, so... Mike ZZ5KZ, welcome to the stream. I don't think I've seen you here before. Welcome. Says, I'm with Wes. We need to get back to the EU. Okay, fair enough. I'm not going to go into why I disagree with that here, but because that's not what we're talking about. But there are videos coming out about why, not why I disagree with why we need to get back to the EU, but why I disagree with Wes Streeting, I should say. So, you know, watch this space and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out. This is what Danny fucking Price had to say on this issue. And just like that, once again, those who call for an end to the genocide are being blamed for terrorism. Yesterday, a man attempted to murder Jewish people in Golders Green in what has been confirmed by the Metropolitan Police as an act of terrorism. 2 men, one in his 30s and one in his 70s, were taken to hospital, but are fortunately now in a stable condition. And although the man responsible has not yet been identified, I think he has since this post, authorities have confirmed the suspect, who is a British national born in Somalia, was said to have known mental health issues, was already known to police before the attack, and had a history of serious violence. What happened was a horrendous and unwarranted attack on the Jewish community, and my thoughts are firmly with those affected by this awful incident. It is absolutely vital that Jewish people are able to feel secure and safe within their communities and everywhere. However, a number of politicians, the media, and various commentators are shouting absolute dog shit in an effort to cause further division. The simple truth is that for years we've had weekly marches through central London in which anti-Semitism has openly flourished, and the government has stood back and done nothing. Dan Hodges. You cannot say anti-Semitism is unacceptable and then accept it. You had marches on the streets saying all kinds of things that were deeply offensive and also calling for violence. Gillian Keegan, former Tory MP. And he's posted several tweets here from people saying similar things. You let hate marches take place every weekend in central London for well over a year, and you're shocked it keeps happening. And yet you've stood and allowed anti-Semitic hate marches to happen in London week after week. Get in the bin, you plastic patriot. Why have Jewish hate marches been allowed to take place in central London nearly every weekend? In Germany, the police take a zero-tolerance approach to any form of anti-Semitism. Your party allowed hate marches against Jews on a regular basis in London. Too late now. And so they go on in a similar vein. Pro-Palestinian protests are not fucking hate marches. Those who protest for the liberation of the Palestinian people are not protesting against Jewish people. Those who protest against Israel are protesting against oppression and hate in all forms. Calling for an end to the genocide is not calling for the deaths of Jewish people. Just don't just take my word for it. And this is what I was talking about earlier. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of Jews taking part in these marches, calling for a free Palestine, calling for an end to the oppression, calling for an end to the occupation, and calling for an end to the genocide. Thousands of Jewish people march on these marches, but you don't hear about them, do you? I wonder why that could be. The attacks on Jewish people are not being committed by those who proudly stand against violence. They are being committed as hateful extremists, and in this case, someone with severe issues. We must all push back on the bullshit rhetoric that seeks to put us all in danger. And we must all stand against anti-Semitism the exact same way we stand against Islamophobia, misogyny, and all other forms of hate and bigotry. Oh, that's the end of that one. Danny fucking Price goes on to say in the comments, these increasing attacks affect all of us because they are not just anti-Semitic attacks. Hate in all forms is increasing rapidly in this country, and certain bad actors are reveling in the disruption and division being caused. Do not let politicians and the media succeed in their bullshit when they utilize these situations to come for our freedoms and rights. And do give Danny fucking Price a follow on Instagram. He's really good. He's brilliant. Really, really good. So do give Danny fucking Price a follow because he is brilliant. And I think that's all I have to say on this issue. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Okay, next segment. I was gonna, what else was I gonna say? Okay. Excuse me. This is from Owen Jones's Battle Lines on Substack. Greens take on anti-Semitic Times cartoon. Their complaint is welcome. The Green Party need to go on the attack. And as you can see from this cartoon depicting Zach Polanski kicking a police officer in the head, you can see that it's clearly anti-Semitic. He's being portrayed with big ears and a hook nose, but both are anti-Semitic tropes. It's quite hideous, really. The Green Party has submitted a complaint to the Times newspaper after it published a cartoon depicting Zach Polanski using obvious anti-Semitic tropes. They note that the cartoon shows Polanski with a visibly hooked nose, perhaps the classic example of anti-Semitic imagery. The Green Party have issued the following statement. It is astonishing that amongst a rising climate of The Green Party have issued the following statement. It is astonishing that amongst a rising climate of anti-Semitism in the UK, a national newspaper has chosen to publish a cartoon of the only Jewish political leader in the country using tropes so clearly associated with anti-Semitic depictions of Jewish people. Zach faces daily anti-Semitism, and in the past 6 weeks, 2 people have been arrested for anti-Semitic actions towards him. The words used by both politicians and the media this week, directing further attacks towards Zach in the wake of a violent attack on his community, are deeply irresponsible. It comes as the country's only Jewish party leader is subjected to a relentless pile-on after 2 Jewish and 1 Muslim Londoner were attacked on Thursday. All the main party leaders and British media outlets have made Polanski the focus of their attention. This is a deeply disturbing campaign, and it is clear what the strategy is, as I'll write more about. They are going to seek to strip away Polanski's Jewish identity and relentlessly smear him and the Green Party over anti-Semitism. Above all, that's because he is A, pro-Palestinian, and B, left-wing. The party need to go on the offensive. That's the only way to face down these bad faith attacks. And that is true. These same politicians and that's true. These same politicians who have been claiming that these Palestinian marches are anti-Semitic and accusing people who support Palestine and go on. And it's true, these same politicians who accuse people who support Palestine of being anti-Semitic are silent when it comes to the anti-Semitic attacks on Zach Polanski. Nothing has been said in the mainstream media or from these. Nothing has been said in the mainstream media about these anti-Semitic attacks on Zach Polanski or about this anti-Semitic cartoon of him in the Times. There seems to be a bit of hypocrisy happening here. On one hand, they say that anti-Semitism is an evil, and it is, but they remain silent when the only Jewish leader of a political party is attacked with anti-Semitism. It's blatantly It's it's blatantly Sorry, I'm struggling to get the words out again. It's blatantly Hippocratic. I'll start again. It's blatant hypocrisy, and it makes me sick. It really does. If these people really did care about anti-Semitism and weren't just using it to smear people on the left when they speak out against Israel and the IDF, when they speak out against the war crimes and genocide in Gaza, if they really cared about anti-Semitism, they would equally call it out when it's against Zach Polanski, who is actually Jewish. But because he's the wrong kind of Jew, because he's on the left, because he's the leader of a socialist party, they ignore it when it happens to him because it doesn't fit their narrative. And there's something else I want to say about this as well. Let's see if I can find it. I should have become more prepared, really. Oh, yes. Because the Telegraph have done this as well. It's not just the Times that have printed an anti-Semitic cartoon of Zach Polanski. As you can see from this post posted by Not the Tory Graph, the Telegraph have posted an anti-Semitic caricature of Zach Polanski as well. Again, with the hooked nose. Not the Tory Graph said this: whilst the Jewish right is screaming fake Jew at Zach Polanski, the mainstream press is doing its best to represent Zach as a Nazi stylist caricature of a Jewish person. Make your mind up, Telegraph. And that's right, isn't it? It's the hypocrisy of it all. On one hand, they're smearing him as being anti-Semitic, and on the other hand, they're attacking him with an anti-Semitic cartoon. Make it make sense. Michael Rosen shared this tweet. Michael Rosen said this: there was the mural one, the Martin Rosen one, and the Steve Bell one in The Guardian. They were all anti-Semitic. This one is not anti-Semitic. Have I got that right? And he shared this post by David Rosenberg. Can't think where the Times cartoonist gets his inspiration from when he wants to caricature the Jewish leader of the Green Party, Zach Polanski, a politician unafraid to challenge the far right rather than appease them or adapt their disgusting values. I won't hold my breath waiting for the Board of Deputies CST, Jewish Leadership Council, chief rabbi to notice this anti-Semitism and call it out in the strongest terms. And you can see the comparison. You can see the Times cartoon compared to the Nazi cartoon. You can see for yourself the similarities there. It's disgusting, isn't it? And then there's this. Ben Phillips posted, sharing, without comment, British newspapers' depictions of the only Jewish person currently leading a UK political party. Times, Mail, Telegraph, Sun. And you can see for yourself these disgusting depictions of Zach Polanski here. Absolutely gross. And in my opinion, there's a lot of hypocrisy going on here. On one hand, they smear people for being anti-Semitic for their and there's a lot of hypocrisy going on here. People who have legitimate complaints against Israel for their war crimes and their genocide against the people of Palestine in Gaza and the West Bank. I don't know. I'll start again. I don't like the way and it seems to me that there's a lot of hypocrisy going on here. On one hand, and it seems to me that there's a lot of hypocrisy going on here. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Okay. I think I've said enough on that issue for now. What else did I want to talk about? Ah, yes. Let's see if I can find this. Actually, I won't try to look for, because we'll be here all day. But there is something else I wanted to talk about. Right. Ooh. Okay. This is really disgusting. This is a story from the times of Israel. Ben-Gvir giving birthday cake decorated with a noose at controversial party. National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir was presented with a birthday cake featuring a large picture of a noose at his 50th birthday party tonight, photos circulating online show. The noose is a reference to the controversial law mandating the death penalty for Palestinian terrorists, which has long been championed by Ben-Gvir and his Otzma Yehudit party. And there it is there, the noose birthday cake. I mean, that is sick. That is really sick. Imagine giving someone a birthday cake with a noose on it. That is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Imagine celebrating passing a law to hang Palestinians, and Palestinians only, not Israel. It doesn't, and Palestinians only. It doesn't apply to Israelis, only Palestinians. The ultra-nationalist minister's birthday party had already sparked controversy after he invited members of the police's general command staff to attend the event. Ben-Gvir has faced scrutiny of allegations of undue influence over the police, including in petitions at the High Court of Justice calling for him to be dismissed. The invitations to the force's commanders, whom Police Commissioner Danny Levy allowed to attend, raised further concern about the pressure Ben-Gvir places on law enforcement, which critics have warned is liable to undermine police independence. Oh, that's the end of the article. And I'd never thought I'd agree with Piers Morgan, but even a broken clock can be right 2 times a day. Let's see what he had to say. I would never thought that I'd find myself agreeing with Piers Morgan, but I guess even a broken clock can be right 2 times a day. Sharing Eye on Palestine's post about this, he simply said, disgusting. Eye on Palestine said, on his 50th birthday, the wife of Israel's National Security Minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir, presented him with a cake depicting a gallows. Yeah, that is sick. That is sickening. Unbelievable. Let's see some of the comments. Sandra said, you all are. Bloody media calls this as much as them. Not the Tory graph said, but you can't see this is indicative of thousands of other things. Paulina Plazas said, a culture that celebrates death, sodomy, and rape. Don't let anyone tell you we have common values. We don't. They know it. It's about time we know it too. Yuri Kulanovich said, actually, I won't share that one. Ian Bremer said, grotesque. The real bad guy said, do you condemn Israel, Pierce? Debbie Schlusel said, it's disgusting to condone barbaric mass rapes, torture, and murders by Islamic terrorists. No, I won't share that one, actually. Suppressed voices. Then they call themselves God's chosen people. Big Mish says he represents Israeli society better than any man has represented their society, and yet you'll still say the fault is his and not society's. You carefully select a couple of people in the Zionist regime to single out so you don't have to blame Israel as a whole. Paula Schmidt said, sick and utterly depraved. And I think I'll leave it there. In my opinion, you really have to question the psychology of someone who celebrates the death sentence being. In my opinion, you really have to question the psychology of celebrating a law for. In my opinion, you really have to question the psychology of someone questioning. I will get it right. Sorry. In my opinion, you really have to question the psychology of someone celebrating passing a law that discriminates against the Palestinian people, passing a law that in my opinion, you really have to question the psychology of these people celebrating passing a law, making it legal to pass a. In my opinion, you really have to question the psychology of these people celebrating passing a law, making it legal for there to be a death sentence against Palestinians only, and celebrating by giving the person who was and celebrating by having a birthday cake with a noose on it. I mean, that is. And celebrating by giving someone a birthday cake with a noose on it. I mean, that is disgusting behavior. That is sick. That is ghoulish. But let me know your opinions in the comments. Right. What else did I want to talk about here? Okay, yes. Just one more story, I think. If I can find it. I'm having a lot of luck today, aren't I? Clearly. Whoa. Okay, maybe I won't do that one. I can't seem to find the story that I wanted to share. Unless I do it this way round. No, I can't seem to find what I was looking for. Sorry. Okay, let's see. Let's see what else I can do. Okay, this one. Aaron Rupar shared this post of Aaron Rupar said this: Trump, grunting and groaning, is now mimicking transgender weightlifters.
Come on, darling. The mother's screaming like crazy. Darling, I love you, darling. Mom, I can't do it. Mom.
Oh my God, that is insane. He thinks he's a stand-up comedian. If only he were just a stand-up comedian and not the most powerful man in the world. It's sickening to think that this man has access to the nuclear codes. It's sickening that this is the most powerful person in the whole world. How so many millions of people voted for this? It beggars belief. It beggars belief. Let's look at some of the comments. Jess PDX said, anyone who can stomach this should not be allowed to vote. And Bears Naked News replied, that's a follow, touche. Formerly Fat Girl Running said, what the ever-living fuck? And yes, Threads, I mean it. Stephanie Cranbeck said, he's a fucking embarrassment. Matty S. Corbett said, the only thing as bad as listening to him speak is hearing everyone in the audience cheering him on. JPCSR69 replied, agreed, that is truly pathetic. They're not better than he is. They're all turds. Bieber4 said, hitting all the greatest hits today. Constant Shononigans said, do we have a gif of him falling then being whisked out of the correspondence dinner yet? Apfahi said, what he's actually doing in this clip is mocking cis female Apfahi said, what he's actually doing in this clip is mocking cis female weightlifters. It's a frankly bizarre bit he loves to do for some reason. Brian Forrester 8. This joke was not funny the first time. Just pure cringe. Literally has done it at every rally for the past 10 years. How pathetic. Choir Will 63. The level of hatred I feel for him is really quite alarming. McBronian said transgender weightlifters can probably lift all 300 pounds of him. Exactly. What a sick, twisted individual Trump is. I really, really hope he gets trounced in the midterms. But what a sick, twisted individual Donald Trump is. I really hope he gets trounced in the midterms. It just angers me that we have to wait until November. But hopefully it will be worth the wait, and there will be a blue wave. Let's hope that that happens. Okay, I think that just about wraps things up for this first edition of On the Sofa Live Extra. And let me know if you would like more of this kind of thing, because because there's so much news. That's the thing. There's so much news every week. I can't possibly cover it all in one live stream. There are so many news stories that I would like to cover on the main live stream on Thursday nights at 10 p.m. But I can't cover all of it. So, so I may make this a regular thing, but let me know what you guys think. Until next time, bye for now.